What happens if one of the parties had an affair? Is that going to make a difference to the outcome? Is that party going to be penalised? Common questions that I get asked. The first point is that since April 2022, we now have a no-fault divorce. As the name suggests, parties can enter a divorce process and they don't need to blame the other. Okay, and it's just a straightforward process. There's pros and cons to that, but the thrust behind the change in law is just to minimise conflict. But when I'm asked these questions about, but is it going to make a difference? Then what's behind that is really the finances, because naturally one party will say, well, I didn't know about the affair and I don't really want this to happen ideally, don't want the family home to be sold, my standard of living is inevitably going to change, I haven't done anything wrong, so why should I be penalised? Is it not the fault of the other person? Should their bad behaviour, and one of the forms talks about bad behaviour, should that not be taken into account as part of the objective to achieve a fair settlement? The answer here is that affairs will not be really taken into account. Okay, the court's not going to go there. When the court's looking at the finances or parties are negotiating between themselves, they're looking at the hard pound, shillings and pence, looking at the cards on the table, looking to reach a financial agreement. Even though we're dealing with financial cases here compared to a divorce, the court's really not going to blame one party or the other. It's just not going to open those floodgates. And I appreciate that that again can be quite emotional and difficult to accept, but there needs to be an adjustment and a real focus, because not condoning certain behaviour, but it can raise the temperature in the case, and it can mean that people make the wrong decisions. The cases can be quite high conflict, and where that's present, there's zero communication, but there's also high legal costs. Unfortunately, bad things can happen, but the benefit of taking legal advice is that your solicitor is not emotionally involved. They're there to give you some clear guidance. I would describe myself as a straight shooter. I will look at the pros and cons. I will give my clients options, and if I'm asked these questions, I have to give an honest answer and do my best for them so they can focus on, from a legal perspective, what is relevant.